Welcome to the F1 News Zone, the show where we round up the biggest stories in Formula 1 right now. F1 is still in its summer break, but there's plenty happening behind the scenes across the 10 teams in Formula 1 right now. This week, we're covering when Liam Lawson should know his F1 future by, why Yuki Tsunoda has been overlooked for a Red Bull promotion, and how Oscar Piastri managed to win his first Formula 1 Grand Prix while injured. All that and a whole lot more is coming up on today's show.
As if Oscar Piastri hasn't been impressive enough recently, he has come out and said that he actually broke a rib after the British Grand Prix, which I'm not quite sure how he's actually managed to break it. It might just be the ridiculous G-forces these guys have to endure during an actual Grand Prix race. But yeah, he obviously went on to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, his first ever Grand Prix victory in F1, and then get second place at Spa, despite a broken rib. He tweeted out a picture, like a kind of is it a sonogram? Oh, I'm trying to think of the word. But anyway, there's a scan of it here, and it does show a clear break in his rib, which I've never actually broken my ribs, but it's a pretty sensitive area in the body. So broken ribs are meant to be incredibly painful to have, and he did have one. And he tweeted out saying, first part of the season done, first GP victory. First broken bone. First time he's ever broken a bone. Ribs enjoying the break. So yeah, 4 weeks to recover with that, which I'm sure he'll be in a lot better condition after that. But yeah, think about the pain the guy must have been in, because if you think about how these guys are kind of strapped into these cars, there's a lot of side-to-side G-forces there, and he's probably just broke it during the British Grand Prix, because you think about how fast of a track it is and how quick these corners are, you know. Because you've got things like Cops where you're doing it pretty much flat out. You've got Stowe as well that's similar as well at the other end of the track. Beckett's Chapel, that's like a side-to-side kind of punch that you're getting on your body at the time. So yeah, I think it's incredible how he's managed to do that. I mean, obviously, top level athletes are never 100% in a sense, unless it's like first race of the season or first match of the season, depending on what sport they're playing in. And just because the body just goes through such a battering through the season, these 4 weeks will definitely do the Formula 1 drivers a chance, a good chance to rest and recharge. And I kind of want to mention as well that there was a clip of, I think it was Charles Leclerc in China, and he accidentally left his radio button on, and you could hear his breathing techniques, and a lot of people were likening it to a fighter pilot, how a fighter pilot pulls ridiculous G-forces while, doing the job, going out and flying and everything. And Formula 1 drivers are actually doing a similar thing to, stay conscious and not black out. And we have seen the effects of the extreme conditions, things like in Qatar, where guys were throwing up and passing out during the race and everything like that. This shows how incredible these guys are. And someone commented a while ago on one of my videos saying, oh, these guys aren't superhuman, they're just human. I'm just like, yes, I know that, I know they're not actually superhuman, but the things they can do are incredible. And, that has to be applauded. You have to respect that. And again, Oscar Piastri, he's only in his second season of Formula 1 racing. He is new to this game. And here he is, competing despite breaking a rib, which I'm sure was very painful for him for sure. And no matter how he broke it, I hope he recovers fully for the next round at Zandvoort. Not the highest G track, but you don't want to have that injury going into there, because it's one of the things that if you're racing every week that these guys are, traveling, training, it's not really getting much of a chance to heal. So I hope these 4 weeks doing good with that. And yeah, it just shows the incredible effort that these guys go to in the car. I have so much respect for them doing that. And yeah, just another example of how amazing Formula 1 drivers are. And some people genuinely, complain that this is not a sport. It absolutely is. These guys are athletes. These guys are some of the fittest people in the world to be able to do what they do on a regular basis. And if we even tried it, we'd pass out, we'd break bones all the time. It wouldn't be very pretty. But yeah, there we go, guys. Just a bit of random news from Oscar Piastri. And yeah, we'll be here to react to anything that comes in during this summer break in Formula 1. And of course, as well, we'll be giving you some informative videos in the meantime as well. So yeah, see you very soon, guys, here on the F1Chronicle.com. When Carlos Sainz signed for Williams, I did say that it was a coup for them. It was an absolutely incredible signing and is a real signal of intent. And that's what a few people have said in the media as well with this signing. So let's go into the article here, which is on the F1Chronicle.com. As always, if you guys want to check it out, if you're on YouTube, click the link in the description. But if you're not on YouTube, then go look up the website. You can find it by clicking the logo on if you're on Microsoft Start. James Vowles has described the incredible reaction from the Williams team when they learned that Carlos Sainz would be joining them in 2025, with staff members shouting and screaming in excitement over the Spaniard's imminent signing. After months of speculation about his future, Sainz's next move was confirmed just a day after the Belgian Grand Prix, revealing that he had signed a multi-year contract to race for Williams starting next season. Speaking on the F1 Nation podcast, Vowles said, "One of the best ways I can explain this is through the emotional reaction when I announced it. To set the scene, we set up a projector screen with a TV in there, and I walked in. Netflix was with me as well. So we're going to see this in Drive to Survive next for season 7? I think season 7. Whichever one's coming out, start of 25. About 600 to 700 people were there. Because of the shift patterns, you don't get all 1,000 there in the same time. I have had the pleasure of winning races and being part of the race bay element, winning a championship and being in the race bay. I promise you, the emotional reaction to this was the largest I've ever seen in my F1 career." Of course, James Vowles came from Mercedes AMG, where they won many, many championships. So he's a born winner with that. He's an experienced winner, and yeah, I can see why. I can see why these guys were so excited, because Williams have had a disappointing season. They're not going to get away from that. They're down in 9th in the Constructors' Championship. They would have been hoping to be where RB and Haas are at the moment, but right now they're behind Alpine. The only team they're better than is Sauber, and Sauber have been abysmal, to be honest. He went on to say, "It was extraordinary, the shouting, the screaming. Carlos did a piece to the camera that was fundamentally maybe a minute and a half. They missed the first minute. There was just screaming ongoing in that period of time, and that alone told me it meant what it meant to every one of those individuals in there." So yeah, signing a marquee signing like Carlos Sainz is really going to boost them and give them a huge bit of morale. For this second half of the season, we could see Williams improve because of this, markedly. Well, let's have a look. And then what we've done after that is just follow up by walking around really and asking people what it means. The answer is what I hoped it would be, which is that it's a statement of intent. It's a very clear statement of intent. There's no doubt now that we are investing at the right level, that we have, in my opinion, one of, if not the best trying alignments on the grid. I wouldn't say the best, but definitely up there. Definitely up there. As a combination between the two, Sainz and Alex Albon, there is no politics, they're just both performance machines. I like that. Here's the second thing that it really meant to the team. This is, for me, the more important one, unbelievably. Carlos is quick, but he's a performance machine. And what I mean by that is that he wants thousands of details to be at the right level for him to perform and give everything back to the team. He wants the team to improve and be better. I don't think that it's a coincidence that every team he's been at has improved in his tenure there. I can see why after many, many months of talking to him, and what the factory came to the conclusion of, and it's exactly the right conclusion, is that this means that we've got to step up our game as well. This means that the fact that sometimes we've ended up with a floor that's not good enough, there needs to be 3 Fords delivered at that right standard at the right time. We need to bring everything in advance. The performance has to be matching the driver lineup that we have today. The world knows that. I know that. But you'd be surprised at what the resonance of that message means. So there we go. Yeah, I mean, it's a real lift to the team. Williams, of course, one of the most successful teams in Formula 1 history, but they have struggled so much in recent times. They're not at their lowest ebb right now, not by a long shot. But, the fact they're 9 out of 10 in the Constructors' Championship is pretty bad. But this brings a lot of optimism to the team. They need to produce a car that's going to be good enough for Carlos Sainz to want to stick around. Because, of course, he has allegedly got that clause in his contract that allows him to leave if Mercedes or Red Bull come in with an offer for him. And if, Williams are challenging near the top of the grid for 26, like they'll be hoping for, because remember, the last time we had engine regulation changes in 2014, Williams came out with the third fastest car. They were almost up there with Red Bull. Some weekends they were the second fastest car on the grid behind only the all-conquering Mercedes. So yeah, they want to produce a car that's going to be enough for Carlos Sainz to want to stick around. And I hope they do. And I wish them the best. And I'm very interested to see how Carlito's going to do in this car next year and beyond. So yeah, guys, what are your thoughts on it? Is this a signal of intent from Williams? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, keep subscribed, follow, share, like, comment, all that good stuff, and ring the bell as well for much more F1 news and reaction just like this. Just a relatively quick one for you guys. I saw a cool quote the other day on planetf1.com, so shout out to those guys. They brought this, and it was an interview with ESPN, just to shout out another sports organisation online. But yeah, Helmut Marko was quoted as saying the following: "We rate him highly, and he will get his chance. Just wait, September, you will have an answer." So that's in relation to Liam Lawson and his potential of going to either Red Bull or RB, because both are actual possibilities for him. And the Red Bull merry-go-round when it comes to drivers is one that's not going to stop anytime soon, I don't think. So right now, as it stands, we've already brought you all of this, Sergio Perez is confirmed to be with Red Bull until the end of the season. He does have a contract until 2026, of course, though. Max Verstappen is pretty much nailed on to stay at Red Bull until 28. His contract has been shored up, most likely, by that meeting we brought you a while back with Helmut Marko and a clause in his contract. It's very messy, but Verstappen is not going to leave Red Bull, most likely, until 28, unless he wants to leave. There's not an easy way out for him, and because of how much teams would have to pay at Red Bull in a cost cap era, it would most likely mean that no team would be able to afford it either. Yuki Tsunoda is confirmed with RB until at least the end of the 2025 season. So currently, as it stands, officially the only seat out of the 4 Red Bull cars, both Red Bull and RB, that is not confirmed for 2025 is Daniel Ricciardo's seat. Now, he is confirmed to be staying with the team until the end of 24. That has been confirmed. There's rumours about him being axed and replaced by Lawson in the mid-season break. Same with Perez as well, who was also under pressure from both Ricciardo and Lawson. Liam Lawson is a very interesting one because there's not many seats on the F1 grid currently, and I don't see him going anywhere aside from RB or Red Bull. There's no other team that I don't think is going to take a risk on him, to be honest. I mean, Sauber are most likely going to choose the likes of Porsche or Bortoleto or Bottas or Zhou. You've also got Mercedes, where that's going to go to Anthony. That's pretty much all but confirmed by Toto Wolff. He's made no secret about his enthusiasm to sign the young Italian to a full-time Formula One race seat for next year. And that's kind of it when it comes to deciding where people are going to drive. There's no other seats really left, to be honest. So RB is the only one that's realistic for Lawson, because as well, on top of that, he doesn't have financial backing like a lot of the guys too. Yeah, he's good, and he had a great F2 kind of campaign in his final season there, and he also did a standout job as a stand-in last season for AlphaTauri. Like, of course, AlphaTauri becoming RB for this season. But where's he going to go? What's going to happen? Well, I think a lot of this kind of depends on, I think Sergio Perez is the biggest factor to all this, and it also depends on how much they trust Lawson as well, because if Perez underperforms in the second half of the season, I fully believe that he's going to be axed. He's going to be gotten rid of. He has to pick it up. Marko has as well basically said that, look, he's got to pick it up. He's got to do better. They're also saying things like the car is very difficult to handle and things like that. There's all rumours about Liberty Media having a hand in it as well, because there's marketing kind of bonuses with Perez because they sell so much merchandise around the world, and there's things like the documentary on, I want to say, Disney Plus in Latin America. It's one of the streaming services anyway. So there is that too, but at the end of the day, if we don't win the Constructors' Championship, heads are going to roll, and Perez is going to be one of the first heads to roll as well. I don't see him saying no in that case. But who replaces him? Do you put Ricciardo in there, or do you put Lawson? Ricciardo and Verstappen have already been teammates before in 2018, before Ricciardo went to Renault for that next season. But are they going to stick him back in there? He's 35 years of age. He's having, in my opinion, an okay season. I gave him a mid-table C grade in my mid-season driver ratings. But does he deserve to be in the top team? Some people might think, oh, maybe you put Yuki Tsunoda in, but I think that'd destroy his career. I think that'd destroy him, to be honest. I don't see him going to Red Bull, from his RB seat at the moment. So then that leaves Liam Lawson. Do you put Lawson straight in at the top, or do you put him in at RB? For what it's worth, I think the sensible option is to put him at RB, because it's just too much pressure. And then it's either Ricciardo or Perez in that Red Bull seat. And to be honest, I think Liam Lawson should be confirmed for RB for next year. I think they should just do that. After this summer break in September, according to Marco, they're going to do that. So for me, Liam Lawson should be in that RB seat, and that'll be a sensible decision. What you do with the second Red Bull seat then after that is kind of up to you, really. I personally don't know. And I think it all depends on how Ricciardo and Perez perform. Whoever performs better, get him in that top seat. I think that's what they should do. But this is Red Bull. They rarely do the sensible thing. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think is the right thing for Lawson? Where should he be driving next year, if anywhere? And also, what's going to happen with the Red Bull second seat too? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, keep it subscribed here to the F1Chronicle.com to see much more F1 content just like this. Got an interesting piece here on the F1Chronicle.com. Red Bull's car apparently is too difficult for Sergio Perez, which is something that I've spoke about a lot. I spoke about it during, our mid-season grades that just went out. I spoke about it on several pieces that have been about Perez and his future, where I've just basically been saying, well, there is a school of thought that says that the car is about around where Sergio Perez is performing, but Max Verstappen is just outperforming it. And it also doesn't help that Perez does not have this car designed for him, because the car is designed for Verstappen. Perez just has to adapt his driving style to it, but he can't do it because it's a big thing when you've driven a certain way your entire life to then go and do something else. It doesn't come naturally to you. It's something very much unnatural, unfamiliar. But let's have a look what it says in this article. So Dr. Helmut Marko has explained that Red Bull decided to support Sergio Perez because the team believes their car has become too challenging for him to handle, and they are confident a turnaround in his performance is close. Perez's future was heavily speculated upon as Formula 1 entered its August summer break, with many within the paddock expecting him to be replaced by either Daniel Ricciardo or Red Bull reserve driver Liam Lawson. After a meeting following the Belgian Grand Prix, Red Bull confirmed that Sergio Perez will continue as Max Verstappen's teammate after the summer break. Racing advisor Helmut Marko suggested that the team is considering adjustments to help Perez improve from the Dutch Grand Prix onwards. He said, and I quote, "We believe that we can turn it round and make it more stable for him. To be a teammate to Max is not the nicest thing in Formula 1. Even he recognises that. Just from a purely pace point of view, if nothing else. I mean, it's a very difficult yardstick to try and match. Checo has his merits. He's won races. Our discussion was not about drivers. It was also about discussions we had on what we can do to improve the situation. We have to try and make the car more easy to drive. The more difficult the car is to drive, the more the difference to Max comes out, because he's such an outstanding talent. If the rear steps out, he won't lift the throttle. He's just, it's just a bit nervous. Checo says it's difficult or it's undrivable. And that's the thing, I do kind of see what Marco is saying here, to be fair. Perez is a good driver. He's won races. He outperformed his Sauber and his Force India over the years to a degree that, we've not really seen that often in the midfield. He used to get podiums quite regularly in cars that just did not deserve to be there. Now he's unable to get podiums in a car that kind of deserves to be there. But, you can liken it to the likes of Kimi Raikkonen when he was teammate of Fernando Alonso at Ferrari in 2014. Alonso absolutely destroyed Raikkonen in that car. And why did he do that? Is he that much of a better driver? Well, I believe he is a better driver, but I don't think the pace difference is that much, really. And it was more down to the way the car was set up and the way the car was designed. It was designed for Alonso. Alonso could do everything with that car. Raikkonen, because he had a completely different driving style, couldn't do anything with it. So let's see what the rest of the article says. It says, so to be next to Max is a different story. So we still said, let's try and make the car more easy to drive, get more balance, which is something that Max wants. And the best thing is to keep going with Checo and hope that the main problem is that it was set up and down. He had some very good results, very good performances. Then the next day he was half a second off Max. So yeah, that's kind of what Sergio Perez's season's been like recently. It's not been good for him at all. He's not been performing anywhere near the level he should be, but there's definitely a school of thought to say it's the car. And that's probably why they've kept him on, like Marco's saying. He doesn't mince his words. He's a lot of things, Marco, but he's not someone who pulls any punches when it comes to his opinions on things. So yeah, I can definitely see where he's coming from on that. But I also did you notice that little thinly veiled threat there? Oh, he's got, he should perform better in the second half of the season. I think if he doesn't pick up his pace, he's going to be out for next season. Who's going to come in instead? Don't know. don't know. I've stopped trying to predict Red Bull and their two teams for a while now. It's a real head scratcher. But yeah, guys, let us know what you think about this in the comments below. As always, is Perez just not good enough, or is he underperforming because of the car? I think it's definitely at least partly because of that. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe, follow, comment, share, and ring the bell as well for much more F1 news, opinions, and reviews just like this. While there aren't too many seats left on the Formula 1 grid for 2025 that aren't yet decided, one of those is for the second Audi Sauber seat. Now, obviously, this seat will still be Sauber in 25, but in 26 it'll become Audi, and Audi, of course, heavily involved in the team already, and they've been making some big moves, not only with their driver lineup, because they have Nico Hülkenberg confirmed for one of those seats, but also off the track as well. You've got Mattia Binotto coming in as a chief operations and technical officer, and also Jonathan Wheatley joining from Red Bull in 2026 as their team principal. But the second seat is still not decided, and I've seen quite a few rumours recently that a certain Sebastian Vettel might come back to Formula 1 to fill that. So I'm going to ask the question, how likely is this? Do I think it's a good idea? How is it likely to work out? I've got everything in with this. I'm just going to kind of explain my thoughts on it, really, because particularly in the Austrian media, for some reason the Austrians really on this. They love a good rumour at the end of the day. I've noticed that while covering Formula 1 as much as I have done recently. That they're the ones who are saying that this might happen. Now, Vettel by no means is ancient. He's been out of the game for a few years now. I think he's only like 37, 38, something like that. So he's younger than the likes of Alonso and Hamilton, and he's not that much older than the likes of Bottas and Ricciardo either. So by all means, he absolutely can come back to Formula 1 if he wants to. He's still got that super license, that's never going to go away. Of course, Sebastian Vettel is a 4-time Formula 1 champion, one of the most successful drivers in the history of the sport. Had a lot of success winning all his 4 championships with Red Bull back in the day, and of course was a much loved driver at Ferrari as well, challenging for the championship in both 2017 and 2018. And had things worked out slightly differently, he could have easily won a 5th world championship in either of those years, in my opinion. Is he likely to come back? Well, you have to look at the reasons why he left in the first place, really. I mean, he kind of pretty much said it. He wants to spend more time with his family, he wants to just relax. He doesn't want to put himself in danger. Now, some people might think, well, Formula 1, isn't it meant to be incredibly safe? And, well, yeah, of course it is. Of course it's safe. But still, accidents do happen. People still do get pretty seriously injured in Formula 1. It does happen. I mean, I wouldn't say seriously injured, but obviously Ricciardo had that pretty nasty crash where he hurt his wrist quite severely and had to miss a good 5-6 races for Liam Lawson because of that. It's not unheard of for there to be these horrible crashes in F1 these days. Now, thankfully, we've gone pretty much 10 years now with without anybody passing away. That, of course, being Jules Bianchi, who suffered a horrible crash back in 2014 and passed away the following year in 2015 as a direct result of that. But that of course is something that will have affected Seb, because he was racing in Formula 1 at that time. He was racing for Ferrari at that time, the team that Bianchi was effectively on loan from when he was in the Marussia when he had his crash. So in that sense, there's obviously the school of thought that says that his reasons for leaving have not changed. But then again, on the other side of things, he might still have the itch. He might still have the urge, and he might need to scratch that itch, if you know what I'm saying. He's spent all of his life pretty much racing. That's been his only job ever since he was a little kid in karting. That was always his dream. His dream was always to go to Formula 1 and emulate his hero, Michael Schumacher. And he did that. Obviously did not match Michael's totals, but, it did really good. Over 50 wins, 4 world championships. Not bad. Not too many drivers have done that other than him. So, and he's had a few years out of the game as a result. I think, when did he retire now? Was it end of 21, end of 22? I always get mixed up, but it's been a couple of years either way. And in that time, he might well have just kind of realised, I still love this. I still want to do this. How can I get back? And if he's going to come back, you'd think he'd come back for a team that has manufacturer backing, that has its own works engine, that has a very ambitious project of getting into Formula 1 and winning the whole thing. Not dissimilar to what Red Bull did when he entered Formula 1, when he was in the Red Bull Academy, when he first came to Formula 1. I mean, initially he was at Sauber, but then he eventually went to Toro Rosso, which are the Red Bull Junior team, what are now known
as RB. You know, when they were doing that, they were just starting up. They were just wanting to get into the sport and actually win it. You know, at that time, Red Bull were not a winning outfit when Seb signed on to their junior program, but they became a winning outfit and they won those world championships because of him. You know, for the longest time, Vettel was the only Red Bull world champion. Only in the last few years has Max Verstappen eclipsed that sort of record. He might well match Seb's 4th world title this season too. So I think there's every chance that in his own head he might want to come back, but will Audi want him? It's debatable. I mean, it's a massive name. It's a huge marquee for you to sign a German Formula 1 champion. The only German Formula 1 champion that's realistically available. Of course, Nico Rosberg's still out there, but he too is retired from motorsport. But if I'm being honest, I think that it's unlikely that they'll go for him. I don't really see it, to be honest. I think they'll probably go for someone younger, like a Bortoletto that's been rumoured about, like a Porsche who's already in their driver academy, somebody like that. Hell, even, well, maybe not Antonelli. Antonelli's going to Mercedes, let's be honest here. But, you know, I don't really see them going for Vettel, or maybe they'll stick with one of the incumbents, Guan Yu Zhou, or more likely Valtteri Bottas. I don't really see them going for Seb, to be honest. I'll be surprised if they do. Stranger things have happened in Formula 1, of course, but I'll be honest with you, this one gets a thumbs down from me. I don't think it's going to happen, but watch this space. It could well surprise you, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on this as well, of course. Keep it tuned to the F1Chronicle.com to see much more rumours and news stories with Formula 1. We're getting closer to being back for Zandvoort this upcoming weekend, and of course, comment, like, share, subscribe, follow, and ring the bell as well to see much more F1 content just like this.
So I found an interesting story online, one regarding Yuki Tsunoda and the reason why he's not really being considered for a senior Red Bull drive. Obviously, there's been rumours about Ricciardo going there, Lawson going there, and Perez is currently there. But the one guy that's not really being linked with that top Red Bull drive, that senior team drive, is Yuki Tsunoda, despite his impressive performances on the track this season. It seems like there's something else going on perhaps, and that's what this story kind of links into. Now, shout out to This Is Formula 1 for breaking this one, and it's an interesting one. So basically, I'll just read out the stats that they put about this and just kind of give my reaction to it. So Yuki Tsunoda's, quote, childish antics over the radio are cited by Tom Coronel as a reason why the driver is not in line for a Red Bull promotion. Tsunoda, who joined F1 with Red Bull's junior team in 2021, is the longest serving junior driver in the Faenza-based team's history. Really? 4 years, I suppose. Normally what they used to do was like 3 years and then you get promoted or get the boot. And that's kind of what happened to Ricciardo and Verne. But since then, it's kind of moulded a bit, kind of evolved really. Coronel reckons that's because of Tsunoda comes off as a bit childish, and that puts Red Bull off long ago. Verbally, I don't think he's ready for the top. He comes across as a bit childish at times. Well, I mean, I think early on in his career, yeah, I would say that. His radio rants, particularly early on, like in his first year, maybe his second year as well, really, were very, very loud and very, very sweary. His engineers basically had to ask him to calm down. Of course, he came into F1 with so much potential. People were rating him so high. They were just, oh, this is the Japanese Formula 1 talent that we've been waiting for. This is what the country's been waiting for. But it's not worked out quite as planned since then. He had a really good start to his campaign in 2021, but then fell off very quickly. In 22, there were genuine rumours about the guy being booted from, as it was then, AlphaTauri. So there is that. But on top of that, I think since then he's done very well. Last year he was, in my opinion, very good, and this year so far he's also been very good. And maybe I've not heard as many radio outbursts this year, but I don't think there has been as many. There's not been reasons to have them for the most part, but still, you know, we're halfway through the season now, so it seems as though, you know, if we were going to get these radio outbursts, they were going to happen by now. And yeah, better results and a better car will help his mood, of course, but there is one elephant in the room. There is one elephant in the room when it comes to this, and that's Max Verstappen. Now, some people, and there's two schools of thought you can really give with this one. Some people will say quite rightly that Max Verstappen's radio outbursts have been biblical, really. They've been incredibly vociferous, and some people might think, well, if Verstappen can do that, why are they not, you know, why are they not having Tsunoda do that? I mean, remember some of Sebastian Vettel's radio outbursts back in the day. He had some very big ones too. Maybe not on the level of Verstappen and Tsunoda, particularly not in his time at Red Bull, but he still had them. They were still a thing. So there is that. But then countering that, people will probably say, well, Verstappen's just that much better. And Verstappen is that much better than pretty much all the drivers on the grid. There's not many that come close to him, in my opinion. So it's an interesting one. For what it's worth, I don't think that Red Bull would stop Tsunoda from going to the senior team purely just based on his radio outbursts. I think they're stopping him going to the senior team because for some reason they keep going with Perez. There are a few reasons for that. I've done some videos on that if you want to check them out. Not got time to go into them here really, but on top of that as well, Tsunoda, yeah, he's been good, but is he good enough to go to Red Bull and challenge Max Verstappen? And I know, guys, I know that Perez is not challenging Max Verstappen, but the difference is that Perez is a seasoned professional. Yuki Tsunoda's still really young. He's like 24 years old or something. He's really young. So if he goes to Red Bull and that car doesn't suit him, particularly mid-season, like there's been rumours about, then he's not really going to have a chance at challenging Verstappen. It's just going to kill his career. It's going to kill his confidence. Right now, he is the top dog in that RB team, and he's showing Ricciardo quite regularly what that car is capable of. While Ricciardo's doing all right, in my opinion, he's not doing anywhere near as good as Tsunoda. So yeah, I think there's that. And on top of that, for what it's worth, I think Tsunoda's probably going to go to Aston Martin eventually with that Honda connection coming in there. But then again, Lance Stroll is contracted with the team until 26 at least, apparently. So we'll see. But yeah, I wouldn't read too much into this. I don't think that Tsunoda's radio outbursts are the main reason why he's not being considered for Red Bull. I think he's not being considered for the Red Bull senior drive just because it destroys confidence. And he seems like he's in a good place right now at RB, so why go changing that? So that's my thoughts, guys. What are yours? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, for much more news and opinions and analysis and reviews and everything to do with Formula One, keep it tuned right here to the F1Chronicle.com.